You're not stuck in life. Your nervous system is stuck in the old timeline, and that distinction changes everything. Most people believe they're trapped by circumstance, by lack of opportunity, by the weight of their past decisions. But what if the only thing keeping you locked into the reality you're experiencing right now is the frequency your body is broadcasting moment to moment? What if your entire existence is not moving forward through time at all, but simply tuning into different stations of reality that already exist, waiting for you to match their signal? Here's the invisible error that keeps people cycling through the same patterns year after year. They're trying to change their external world while their internal state remains anchored to a version of themselves that no longer serves them. They're attempting to shift timelines with a nervous system that's still humming the old song. And the quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. If your body is coded with the emotional signature of lack, doubt, and survival, you will continue collapsing probabilities that match that frequency, no matter how clearly you visualize a different life. The future you're trying to reach isn't somewhere ahead of you on a calendar. It's here, now, existing as a probability pattern within the quantum field, and the only question that matters is this: are you coherent enough to tune into it? This isn't metaphor. This is physics meeting biology. And by the end of this video, you'll understand not just how timeline shifting works, but why your body has been the gatekeeper all along. If you're ready to stop forcing change and start embodying it, subscribe to this channel, because everything we do here is designed to help you become the observer who collapses a different reality. Here's the reframe that unlocks everything. You are not moving through time. You are moving through states of coherence. Every version of your life, every outcome you've ever desired or feared, already exists as a frequency within the quantum field. The reason you haven't experienced it yet isn't because it hasn't happened. It's because you haven't become the version of yourself who is a vibrational match to it. Think of reality not as a single road stretching forward, but as a vast library of books, each one a complete timeline, a full narrative arc of possibility. You don't write the books, they're already written. Your only job is to become the reader whose frequency opens the right one. And here's the part most people miss. You don't choose with your mind, you choose with your state. Your thoughts might want abundance, but if your nervous system is frozen in survival mode, if your body is still carrying the emotional residue of betrayal, failure, or scarcity, then that is the signal you're broadcasting. And the quantum field, being utterly neutral, simply reflects it back to you as lived experience. The key to shifting timelines is not effort. It's not willpower. It's coherence. When your identity, your emotional frequency, and your physiology align with the version of you that already lives in the reality you want, the leap happens automatically. It's not a jump through space. It's a synchronization in frequency. And this is where the loop opens. If your body has been the block all along, then what does it actually take to reprogram the observer? Hold that question. We'll close it before this ends. Let's break this down step by step, because once you understand how this works, you'll never see your life the same way again. In quantum mechanics, there's a principle called superposition. It means that all possible states of a system exist simultaneously until the moment of observation. Before you look, the electron is everywhere. The moment you observe it, it collapses into one location. Your life works the same way. Right now, there are infinite versions of you existing as potential within the quantum field. The version of you who is financially free, the version of you who is deeply loved, the version of you who has healed the trauma and walks through life with unshakable inner peace. These aren't fantasies. They are frequency patterns, probability clouds, waiting to be collapsed into experience by the right observer. And the observer is you. But here's the critical part. The version of reality you collapse is determined not by what you consciously want, but by the identity of the observer in the moment of observation. If you observe your bank account from the emotional state of fear and lack, you collapse the timeline where money continues to elude you. If you observe your relationships from the frequency of unworthiness, You collapse the timeline where love feels conditional or absent. This is why affirmations alone don't work. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times. But if your nervous system is stuck in the physiology of survival, if your body is tensed against threat, if your breathing is shallow and your heart rate variability is low, you are not broadcasting abundance. You're broadcasting fear. And fear collapses fear-based timelines. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research on heart-brain coherence shows us something profound. When your heart and brain are in sync, when you generate elevated emotions like gratitude, love, or inspiration while holding a clear intention, you create a measurable electromagnetic field that extends beyond your body. That field is your signal. It's how you communicate with the quantum field. It's how you select which probability becomes your lived experience. Many of us in this community have already begun to sense this. We've felt the moments when everything clicks, when synchronicities pile up, when it feels like reality itself is bending toward us. That's not magic. That's coherence. That's the moment when your identity, your emotion, and your biology align with a timeline that already exists, and the quantum field responds by collapsing it into form. The illusion is thinking you need to create the future. You don't. The future already exists. You just need to become the version of yourself who is a match to it. And that transformation doesn't happen in your mind. It happens in your body. It happens in your nervous system. Because your nervous system is the antenna. And if the antenna is tuned to static, you'll never hear the music. So why do so many intelligent, conscious, motivated people still feel stuck? Because they're making moves that seem logical, but are actually reinforcing the old pattern. Let me show you how this plays out. You decide you want to shift timelines. You want the abundant life, the thriving relationship, the version of you that feels at peace. So you start visualizing, you journal, you set intentions, you work harder, push more, try to force the shift through sheer determination, and nothing changes. Or worse, things get harder. Here's why. Effort without coherence is just noise. When you try to shift from a place of desperation, you're operating from the frequency of, "I don't have it yet." And that frequency is the very thing that keeps you locked into timelines of lack. Every action you take from that state, no matter how well-intentioned, is coded with the same vibration. You're trying to shift the outside while the inside remains unchanged. Another common mistake. People attempt to shift cognitively. They understand the concepts. They know the theory. They can explain the observer effect, talk about neuroplasticity, reference the double-slit experiment. But knowledge without embodiment is just information. Your body doesn't care what you know. It only responds to what you feel and what you repeatedly experience as safe. If your nervous system has been conditioned by years of stress, trauma, or survival-based living, it has built neural pathways and somatic patterns that default to hypervigilance, contraction, and resistance. And those patterns create a baseline frequency. That baseline is your set point, and until you shift the set point, until you teach your body that it's safe to exist in a new state, every attempt to change your life will feel like swimming upstream. You'll have moments of clarity, brief windows where you feel aligned, and then you'll snap back, not because you lack discipline, but because your nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do: keep you in the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. And here's what I want you to hear. This is not your fault. You haven't been doing it wrong. You've been operating with incomplete information. The reason shifting timelines has felt so hard is not because you're broken or blocked or cursed by your past. It's because no one taught you that the body is the bridge. No one told you that your nervous system is the instrument through which all change occurs. You were taught to think your way into a new reality, to visualize and affirm and push through resistance. But the truth is, transformation happens when you feel safe enough to let go of who you've been. And safety isn't a mental decision. It's a physiological state. This is where everything shifts. Because once you realize that the block isn't out there, Once you see that your reality has been a perfect reflection of the frequency you've been holding, you gain access to real power. The power to change the signal. The power to become coherent. The power to stop trying to shift timelines and start embodying the one you want to live in. And that changes everything. If this is landing for you, if something inside you is saying, yes, I've been feeling this, then do me a favor, hit the like button. Not for the algorithm though, that helps. Do it because this message needs to reach the people who are ready to hear it. The ones who have been stuck, not because they're not trying hard enough, but because they've been trying in the wrong dimension. Share this with someone who needs to know that the way forward isn't more effort, it's more alignment. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt truly safe in your body? Not mentally convinced that you're safe, but somatically at ease. Nervous system calm, breath deep and steady, heart open. When was the last time you moved through your day without that low-grade hum of anxiety, without scanning for threat, without bracing against the next thing that could go wrong? And here's the second question. What would it feel like to live from that state not occasionally, but as your baseline? To wake up in a body that feels safe, held, resourced. To move through life as someone who expects good things, not because they're delusional, but because their frequency matches timelines, where good things are the norm. Feel into that for a moment. Don't rush past it. And as you do, notice what comes up. Does your body resist? Does a voice say it's not possible for you? Does it feel too far away, too unfamiliar? That resistance is information. It's showing you where the old timeline still has a grip. And remember what I said at the beginning, your body is the gatekeeper. So what does it take to teach it a new song? Here's where we get practical, because theory without application is just entertainment. If you want to shift timelines, you need to train your nervous system to hold a new frequency. And that doesn't happen through one meditation or one breathwork session. It happens through daily recalibration. Let me give you the practices that actually work. First, regulate your nervous system every single day. This is non-negotiable. Use breathwork, somatic shaking, cold exposure, humming, vagal toning, anything that signals to your body that it's safe to come out of survival mode. When your nervous system is in a parasympathetic state, when your heart rate variability is high, you become receptive. You become coherent, and coherence is the frequency of timeline shifting. Second, practice embodied visualization. Don't just see the future. Feel it in your body. Close your eyes and imagine the version of you that already lives the life you want. How does that version of you breathe? How do they hold their body? What does their energy feel like as they move through the world? Now inhabit that. Wear it like a second skin. Let your body learn what that frequency feels like, so it stops resisting it as foreign. Third, make decisions from the new timeline. This is where most people break coherence. They do the inner work, they feel aligned, and then they make choices from the old identity. They say yes to things that drain them. They tolerate situations that reinforce lack. They act from fear instead of trust. Every decision is a vote for a timeline. So ask yourself before every choice, is this what the future version of me would do? Is this aligned with the reality I'm tuning into? If the answer is no, choose differently, even in small ways, especially in small ways. Because your nervous system is always watching, it learns from your behavior, not your intentions. And here's what I've seen in the people who actually shift. They stop waiting for proof before they act. They don't need the money to show up before they feel abundant. They don't need the relationship before they feel worthy of love. They generate the state first. They become coherent first, and then reality reorganizes to match. That's the sequence. State, then circumstance. Frequency, then form. And this is exactly why I created the trail. It's not a course or a theory. It's a living extension of everything I share in this channel. It's a practical, day-by-day journey to reprogram your identity, and hold your new frequency in real life. I designed it to walk with you through that moment when you've already understood the truth, but now need to integrate it, live it, embody it. If this message resonates with you, you'll find the link in the description. It's the natural next step on your path of expansion. Now let's talk about what happens when you slip. Because you will. You'll have days where you fall back into the old pattern, where fear takes over, where your body contracts and you feel like you've lost all the progress you've made. And I need you to hear this. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Everyone on this path experiences this. Our entire community knows what it's like to touch coherence and then lose it. To feel aligned one moment and completely off frequency the next. The difference between people who shift and people who stay stuck is not that the successful ones never fall out of alignment. It's that they return faster. They don't spiral into shame. They don't tell themselves stories about how they're broken or cursed or not spiritual enough. They simply notice, they feel the contraction, they regulate their nervous system, and they tune back in. That's the practice, not perfection. Not never slipping, but the speed of your return. Because every time you choose to come back to coherence, every time you guide your body back to safety, you're strengthening the new neural pathway. You're teaching your system that this is the new normal. And over time, the new frequency becomes your baseline. The timeline you've been reaching for becomes the one you're living in. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. So here's your invitation. Not as a task, but as a symbolic act of recalibration. Right now, in this moment, I want you to drop into your body. Feel your breath. Feel the weight of your body against the surface beneath you. And from that place, ask yourself, what timeline am I tuned to right now? Not the one you want, not the one you're working toward, the one you're actually broadcasting in this moment. And then make a choice, a small one, a subtle one. Choose to shift your posture, soften your jaw, deepen your breath, let your shoulders drop. And as you do, imagine that this tiny physical adjustment is a frequency shift, a recalibration, a signal to the quantum field that you are choosing a different timeline right now. And here's the answer to the loop I opened at the beginning. If your body has been the block, then your body is also the key. The moment you teach your nervous system to feel safe in the new frequency, the timeline collapses into form. That's the physics. That's the shift. That's how you stop being stuck. You are not the person you were when this video started. Something in you has shifted. You now know that the life you've been reaching for isn't ahead of you. It's here, waiting for you to match its frequency. And the way you match it is through your nervous system, through coherence, through the daily practice of becoming the observer who collapses a different reality. This is your identity now. You are someone who understands that timeline shifting is not metaphor. It's physics, it's biology, it's the marriage of quantum mechanics and nervous system regulation. And the more you embody this, the more your reality will reflect it back to you. This is just the beginning. Every video on this channel is designed to deepen this journey, to give you the tools, the clarity, and the resonance you need to hold your new frequency in real life. If you feel like you belong in this space, if this message is speaking to the part of you that's ready to stop waiting and start becoming, subscribe, because the next step is already here, and your nervous system is learning how to tune into it.